Welcome to the Coaches Roundtable. I'm Ed Cody, and we are honored to have with us Butler High School swimming coach Dave Bocci. Dave, welcome to the show, and this is your first year at Butler, but it's like your second year. You had a little hiatus in between. Tell us what happened in those intervening years from the time that you coached at Butler and now you return here as the head coach.
Sure. Thanks for having me today. 12, 13 years ago, I was the head swim coach at Butler High School. And after that season, I took a couple years off, and I ended up down at Duquesne University as the assistant men's and women's coach. Division I swimming, it was fun. It's 7 years. And roughly 2 years ago, the men's program was cut, and so that was the elimination of where I was at. And so I took a few more years off, and now here I am back in the Butler community.
Well, you have a big meet coming up this Tuesday night, and Armstrong is going to tape it, and we'll replay it later during the week. You have Powerful Mars coming in, and let's go ladies first.
Sure.
And naturally, when you say Mars, you're talking about one of the preeminent swimmers, maybe in the history of WPIAL swimming and PIAA, and Maggie Gruber, who owns 8 gold medals, 4 WPIAL, 4 PIA medals. So, and you have a record-breaking swimmer yourself, and Stephanie O'Toole, a senior who's set 6 school records and a pool record already. Talk to us about those two girls.
Well, first of all, with Maggie Gruber, she's a very powerful swimmer. I just got done watching her this weekend down at the Pick Christmas meet. She's incredibly talented. She's tough, and there's no doubt she's one of the best swimmers that's ever come through this area. And Stephanie, she's also incredibly talented. She's had time to train down at the North Baltimore Aquatic Club. She's, from this area originally. And I've now got to know her a little bit more, and I've watched her train, and she just has a tremendous ability to work hard. And I'm excited every time she gets in the pool. I'm just amazed because she just keeps getting better and better and better. So it'll be fun. I don't know, tonight's meet or tomorrow night's meet. I don't know what events they're going to have, Maggie in. I don't know what events I'm going to have Stephanie in yet. They kind of swim different events, and maybe
so there's not a chance we're going to see a head-to-head competition.
There's a good chance, probably in a few relays, we'll see that. Individually, I have to see what's going to be best for the team to see how we can win the meet, and so we kind of have an idea. Maggie's, better events are obviously 100 fly, 100 back, and Stephanie's, a breaststroker, IMer, and they both can do everything very well. So it's just sometimes by chance they might get, positioned where they run into each other.
And let me ask you, how do you strategize for a meet like this? Do you scout Mars and vice versa?
Yeah, I look at how they finished last year and their results at the WPIAL meet, and kind of see. I know a couple of the kids in the area too that swim for Mars, so I kind of have an idea of where their better swimmers are. Freshman is always a wild card because they didn't swim last year to WPIAL meet, so you kind of try to figure out, maybe where you match up better. Your stronger kids against maybe their stronger kids in certain events. And so that's kind of where we're going to be tomorrow night.
Do you do something like this also? Okay, Maggie Gruber, she's powerful in the butterfly or the backstroke. So do I put someone in there that I want to keep one of my better swimmers out to win another event because I don't think I have anyone to beat Maggie? Does that enter into it?
Well, there's pros and cons to that because sometimes they're going to move her around in another event to try to catch us off guard. I mean, they could put her in the IM. They could put her in the 100 free. And so sometimes you don't want to swim away from people, but you want to put your best lineup in.
At what point do they declare so that you know? Does it have to be before the meet or right before the event?
I think right before the event you can change it up. Our lineup will be put in at the beginning of the meet, and we're going to go with our best lineup. I feel certain that they're going to have her probably in the medley relay. They're probably going to have her, obviously in one of the 2 free relays, but probably maybe the 200 free. And so what we're going to do is we're probably going to put our best lineup in the first 2 relays because I think that's where they'll end up ultimately.
Now, is there a limit in the number of individual events?
2 individual events, 2 relays, or a combination of 3 relays and 1 event.
So a total of 4.
Total of 4, but
can
never be more than 2 individual events.
Now, you also have a freshman standout in Jillian McElhaney in the 50 and freestyle and 100 butterfly.
Yeah, Julian's really coming on lately. You know, anytime you're a freshman and a new coach, you know, and the culture's changing there. You know, she took a little while to get used to her new environment, but now she's definitely coming on very strong, and I see just nothing but upside potential. And all of a sudden now you throw her in the mix with Katie Herr and you know, of course Stephanie, and then Taylor Campbell, who's a senior who's just outstanding. Then all of a sudden you can see the gelling of relays coming together, and things are just kind of really lining up for the girls.
Well, let's look at the boys now. You're off to an 0-2 start, and I have to ask you, I'm reading in a paper that against Shaler, you won 9 of 12 events and you lost the meet, and I'm scratching my head and saying, how do you lose a meet when you win 9 of 12 events?
Unfortunately, you know, swimming is a team sport. A few things happen. You always have your best swimmers, and then you have your second tier group that has to compete against their second tier. We have a lot of first year swimmers, and they're taking a little time getting used to my style of coaching and what I'm looking for. We did have one relay that was disqualified, one of our best relays. Well, all of a sudden that kind of puts the pressure on other people that aren't used to it, and then before you know it, you get surprised. And I was a little disappointed how it ended, but it was a good learning lesson.
Dave, people don't normally think of Western Pennsylvania as being a bastion of outstanding swimmers, but down through the years, we've had some great swimmers here. Butler's had 2 boys have gone on perform in the Olympics. What do you attribute that to, outstanding swimming in this area?
I think it's kind of a unique situation because there's always been very good individuals that have come out of the area, and especially Butler County. But when it comes to the team aspect and putting together a collective of more than 1 or 2, that's always kind of been the problem. And so I think there's, you know, a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of talent in the community. That was the number one reason why I decided to come back here instead of, you know, I entertained the idea of maybe helping out with the women's team down at Duquesne again. And I just think that, you know, we really, you know, we need to put a collective together to get those superstars that we've always had with some other kids and maybe bring them up to that level and have a bigger group.
What's a typical week of practice for you?
A typical week of practice as far as time, you know, we practice Monday through Friday. We have a couple times during the week where we do strength and conditioning, some morning swims occasionally, and also on Saturdays. And so we're very, you know, it's a very tough sport. There's a lot of time commitment, but there's also a lot of reward at the end. And, you know, it's really, it's really good to see the kids taking advantage of this opportunity.
And with swimming, is there such a thing as an off season? When I was in high school and played football, a teammate of mine was also an outstanding swimmer. I don't think I've ever seen that combination since that time.
Well, we do have an off season and we do have a preseason, and I really encourage the kids to stay active. You know, physically fit, cross train. And because that really helps out the season. Of course, you need some downtime because it is so rigorous. But, you know, that's coming. This being my first year again, there is going to be a whole routine set up between March and the high school state meet and what happens the following year.
And finally, Dave, in a final minute here, where do you see this program coming in the next 3 years? There are some powerful programs out there like Bethel Park and, of course, North Allegheny. Where do you see Butler in 3 years?
I see us slowly changing the trajectory of our program, changing the culture. When I first got there, I told the kids I want to do 3 things. You know, obviously change the culture here and the trajectory, teach them to be more consistent in their training and eating habits and sleeping habits, and teaching them how to race. If we start doing those 3 things more, you know, if we get better at that, the team's going to get a lot better. And there's no saying where we're going to be in 3 years.
Thanks, Dave. Butler High School swimming coach Dave Bocci. And you want to see that meet between Butler and Mars. It'll be Tuesday night this week, and we will replay it to you various times later in the week.